Oh, sorry.
I'm too fat. I don't fit more of the handles or arms on my
Falling off, so interruptions.
In this video, you're going to see the beginning of a chilling setup of an innocent man whose only crime was stepping up to help find a missing child. On November 8, 2007, Jody Perrick went missing when her mother discovered she hadn't come home that evening by the time she was told to be home. The mother went up to the home of her friend's brother, Raymond McCann, asking the reserve officer for help. While searching, McCann suggested looking in the cemetery where Jody's body was found. She had been molested and asphyxiated. His suggestion made McCann an instant suspect, and all attention was focused solely on him, in spite of there being no evidence to implicate him.
Oh, what is today is November 5th. But another 3 days. Monday is going to be 3 years.
Yeah.
November 8th, 07. So you're in here voluntarily, obviously. You wouldn't show up if you didn't want to come in here voluntarily, right? Because I'm not going to go out and pick you up and drag you in here.
No.
So, and I know you've been talked to several times,
Well,
and this shouldn't take too long because you're going to tell me the truth. You got nothing to hide, correct?
correct.
And what I need you to do is pretty much this November 8th, 2007, and if you would, I'd like you to start from about noon.
McCann's questioning begins, and it will be interesting to see how this plays out since he is a reserve officer himself and is more likely better versed in interrogation techniques than the average citizen.
About noon.
Can you tell me what you did that day?
I brought my paper. Would you like to read that first? Because
You're
I
right.
even remember everything. I don't know if you got a copy.
You don't remember?
Well, I mean, the order of things, you know what I mean? Or do you,
What paper are you talking about here?
that was a thing I had to do for Mr. Honeyside. I don't know if you want to read that first.
I know, but I would like a copy of it. I haven't seen this
Okay,
before.
that's fine.
Well, I'd like you to do just from your, I don't want you to read anything, I just want you
Right.
to do it from memory.
Okay, starting about noon. I'd be home about lunchtime. Probably eat lunch. Probably. I know I was playing the PlayStation football game most of the day until the kids got home. We went to the store, dollar store. Came back.
What time did you go to the dollar store?
Oh, the kids get out of school. I think I had left at 3, I believe. I went straight up there.
It should come as no surprise that McCann is having a hard time remembering the exact events of the day, since they happened several years previously. Bedell obviously knows this, but these questions are part of the routine, even if no new information is brought to light.
Bought 2 little laser guns. Came back. I remember starting a fire. We got a fireplace. My older boy, he had homework. I know he was doing that. Younger boy was playing on his video game.
So, starting at noon? Your boys were home at noon?
No, after school.
Okay.
Yeah, noon I was there. Ate lunch.
But you were at noon, what were you doing until the boys came home from school?
Playing PlayStation, football game.
Okay. So you were home alone from 12 o'clock until the boys came home.
Mm-hmm.
What time did they get home?
I would say about 3:10, somewhere in there. I'm not really sure what time school let out.
And then you went,
To
how long were you home before you went to the dollar store?
How long were we home? I'm not sure. I mean,
Well, I realize it's been 3 years ago, but it was turns out to be a big day in your life,
yeah.
as well as a lot of other people. And it's a day that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. So I would think you'd remember a lot of details.
Bedell is being a bit harsh. Yes, it was a tragic day, but it wasn't a personal tragedy for McCann, and he had no idea at the time how much impact it would have on his life. It would be more strange if he recalled a perfect timeline of events after 3 years.
I don't know how long we were home before we went to the dollar store, but we went there, looked around for a while, bought a couple laser guns, came back, got some more wood out of the backyard to get a fire going. Son had homework. I think about what time. Wife got home, I think, 4:30, 4:45, somewhere in that area. She made dinner. Son was working on homework. I kind of helped him a little. Wife was going back and forth in the room. She actually helped. Remember that?
What's his name?
He was playing PlayStation with my younger boy. I'm trying to think what time we ate. Roughly around 6, maybe, somewhere in there.
Your wife got home, you say, about 4:45?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
And you weren't working that day?
No,
obviously?
no. I can't remember the date, but I had my for it just completely went out. I don't know how many days before that.
What does that make you do?
And I just got to take a bill.
So, but you were working here part-time, correct?
Yeah.
Or as a reserve?
Yeah.
How often were you working?
I tried to work with on, I think Freddie Nice was a donker. I liked working with him a lot.
You ever worked with Mark Shear?
We might have drove around together once or so. I don't remember because he was always busy with other stuff. So I don't know. I think back then he was going through a lot of, I don't know, a lot going on in his life, I guess. I don't know. And we didn't, he's always doing his thing, so I always want to be the other officer.
What do you mean he's always doing his thing? He was obviously working for the police department. Was he doing something other than that?
Office work or something. I mean, I don't know.
What kind of friends were you with Mark Shear?
Mark Shear? Well, when I was a reserve pigeon, I mean, we knew each other.
Oh, wow.
See, I was a reserve, I think, over there in 97, 98, somewhere in there. And, I knew Mark and over the years.
So you figure you ate dinner about 6 o'clock?
I think, somewhere there.
Well, tell me what, from 6 o'clock on, what went on?
6 o'clock on, I know I was watching TV, I was watching the news. I don't know what all we did. I mean, probably just watching TV. And I know it was going on probably 8 o'clock. Kids were getting ready for bed. We were getting ready for bed. And that's when the mother came over, somewhere around 8.
Your mother came over?
No, Joe, the mother.
Jody's mother?
Yeah.
How well did you know her?
Just acquaintance. Years ago, I used to DJ at the Harvey. I remember her being there. She's friends with my sister.
Yeah.
A tenuous connection has been made, but it is one that is typical of a small town or community. You might know who a person is, and you might even have spoken briefly from time to time, but there is no real relationship. But in cases like this, even that much contact is enough to bring someone under scrutiny.
In which she came over and what?
Okay, she came over and said that her daughter hasn't been home for, I don't know, a couple hours. She was supposed to be home at a certain time. So my wife was there, and she was just, you could tell that how bothered she was. So I said, I'll call Donker and see if he needs help looking, So I called Officer Donker, and he kind of sounded, when I called him, he seemed stressed, Maybe, I don't know, he had a lot going on or whatever. So I asked him, I said, hey, you need some help. So he goes, do what you got to do. I took that as a yes. So.
But you weren't supposed to be working?
I wasn't working that night, but I asked him if he wanted some help.
Okay. But with it, were you able to work as a police officer with that?
Yeah, because that was before, and I wasn't like, you know what I mean?
You were still off.
I was off work, yeah.
Were you able to carry a weapon?
I did have my weapon on my side, yeah. Which later I took it off because Donker asked me, "You got your weapon on?" I go, "Yeah," and I said, I took it off. He go, "I guess it was my personal gun."
Okay. What kind of gun's that?
It's a 9mm, Beretta 9mm.
What equipment did the department furnish you? Do you mind taking your hand away from your mouth?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're misunderstanding a few words you're saying.
Okay.
What equipment did the department furnish you?
See, I had my own duty belt.
You had your own duty belt?
Yeah. Mace. Baton. I'm trying to think of. I got a list at home, but I just uniform badges, all the dressing.
But you purchased your own duty belt?
Yeah, I had my duty. Yeah, I had that when I was over in White Pigeon.
Okay. And you had a set of handcuffs?
Yeah.
Was that your own, or was that something we furnished?
They were mine, but they were a birthday present from Keith Cantrell.
Bedell is interested in the gear because Jody Perrick had been bound and smothered, which means that the belt and cuffs could have been used.
I don't know if you know him.
Keith Cantrell.
Yeah, he was reserve over in White Pigeon.
I was going to say that name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
You guys pretty good friends?
Yeah.
Apparently, if he's
Yeah,
buying birthday presents.
We grew up together.
Where's he at now?
I don't know. I have no clue.
Where was he living at the time?
3 years ago. I would say out on Quaker, I think. 3 years ago.
So, most police officers carry two sets of cuffs. Did you have two?
No, my case only holds one.
Mm-hmm. You only had one case on your duty belt,
Yeah.
one handcuff case? Were you in full uniform that night?
No.
You had your duty belt though?
No, I didn't have a duty. I just had a belt and my gun holster that I have. Just, a gun on my side.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a radio?
No, not with me.
No radio. How did you and Donker were riding together?
Eventually we were, but we always kept in contact by cell phone.
Well, you came down to the department, and Donker was there? You didn't meet him at the department. You said you asked him if
I got him on the phone. I think the first place I went was to, maybe DNS. Started looking around there.
You went there by yourself?
Yeah.
So that's before you went to the police department?
Honestly, I don't remember if I stopped here first or went there first. I'm not sure. Donker may know. I'm not 100% on that.
So you went to DNS.
DNS.
What did you do at DNS?
I went inside and I don't know how I brought it up. I said there's a girl missing. Asked them if I could go around the building. I went around their building. We were looking for a bike. But, you know, and then from there I left. I was heading back north. I think I went behind the buildings where the library is. Checked through there, looking for a bike out of place, which I did see a bike behind the Falcon Mart, which I mentioned the Donker.
That's one of them where it's closed now. I think it's closed.
The Falcon Mart. Yeah, I think it's
Right here in the corner.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Second and 131.
Yeah, I mean, I came up there because I went up the wrong one. You know, went up there, pulled in the Falcon Mart, seen a bike there, kind of looked odd, just sitting there by the building. From there,
So you seen a bike sitting there? What'd you do? Took the bike out? What'd you do?
I didn't actually go up there. I just seen it just sit by the building, and I think later I said something to Donker because I thought we should go check it. We never ended up checking it at all.
Remember what color it was?
No, I don't.
Whereabouts exactly was it sitting?
It was like leaning against the Falcon Mart.
But in front or the side of the building or where?
Kind of like on the corner of it, I believe.
You believe? You don't know? Don't remember for sure?
I can't be 100% if it was on the side or on the corner of it. You know what I mean? I just remember seeing it and just...
But you're in your own vehicle at this
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
You know, what kind of vehicle is that?
I got a Ford truck, pickup truck.
You still have that same vehicle?
Yeah.
So where'd you hook up with Donker at?
Down at the park,
Which part?
the big cannon park. We hooked up there. I parked.
Yeah.
Oop,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I parked on the north end. I walked through there looking for a bike. Didn't see nothing. Got back to my truck. Started going out back on the highway. Looked to my right to see a police car, which was Donker. So I went up to the red light, turned left, went around the block, came up to the south side of the park. That's where Donker met me. Gave me a flashlight.
Okay, but originally when you were going through the park, you didn't have a light?
No.
McCann is doing his best to recall what happened and what areas of the town he explored. Since he wasn't an official part of the search, it is probably harder to verify his movements, something that McCann is undoubtedly regretting.
So did you ride with him from there?
No, from there I went up to the dollar store, went around that building, went through the baseball field, Diamonds area, went through there by the football practice field for rocket football, and then I think about that time he called me, told me to meet him down the Tumble Dam. There used to be a trail there where kids go through. Told me to meet him there, so I went there. He wasn't there. Called him on the phone at the PD, and I think about that time that's when I went to the PD. And that's when we hooked up.
So you rode with him from there?
Yeah.
And where'd you go when you rode with him?
We went to DNS again. I think he had a picture. Donker had a picture at that time. And he went in there and asked, hey, have you seen
This one?
I don't know what picture he had. So, and then the ladies that were there, I think there was one lady, maybe two, I'm not sure, said they weren't the ones working earlier. So we went out on 131 heading north. There's a brick house, looked like an old church and a cemetery behind it. I guess the lady lives there that works there. Talked to them for a little bit. Me and Doctor came back. Stopped at, okay, we're heading south now. Stopped at that gas station to the right. We went into there. I walked around the
You
building.
mean the one on the other side of the bridge?
Yeah. We went there. He went inside. I walked around it, looked around, got back in. I'm trying to think where we went from there. If you remember, I thought we were, during that night in the trailer park, I thought we stopped at a house. I don't even, if it's the same night. I don't know if it could be another night we're on duty at, And I think we stopped at the gas place, just east of Florence Road, I think. That gas station
Oh.
where you guys
Where you
carry
gas up?
gas, yeah. I think we stopped there,
Stopped there to gas up? Or
Yeah, I think so. I can't 100% remember, but I think we did. And then, from there, I think we went back to the PD. Trying to think. What happened after that? I think I went to my mom's house, where my sister lives, and I found a bike in the alley. It was just off here, a big white brick building, and I guess.
Which alley is that?
Okay, around this road here, you take a right. It's just right around the corner here.
If you backed out of the garage.
I backed out of the garage, went south on this road right here, take a right. It's the first alley to the left.
That runs up to McCann. Well,
Yeah,
your
this
sister
is.
lives,
Yeah.
right? Was that your mom lived there?
Yeah, my mom lives there. My dad passed away years
Where
ago.
was the bike at in that alley?
There's a bike. There's a big white brick building, and it was just before there because I'm shining a light everywhere, and there was a bike. I can't remember what the description of the bike was that night, but at the time, this bike looked like what they were talking about.
Were you aware at the time that that's the last place she was seen was at your sister's?
Yeah, earlier, yeah. She said that the kids was playing with her last. I guess Travis was the last to see her or something.
And that's your nephew?
Yeah.
Okay, so how'd you know it wasn't the bike?
Well, after that, I called the doctor to come down and say, because I think he has some of the family members here, if I remember right. Called doctor, he said, be down in a minute. So while I'm waiting for him, I go around searching my mom's backyard, or my sister's backyard, and come back, because they were coming. There's a tall black-haired kid, I don't know. Anyways, he goes, yeah, that's the bike. So we look at it, and another kid goes, no, that's not the bike. And we and doctors start looking, and realize there's grass growing up through the slopes and stuff, and it looks like it's been there a while. So after that, we went back down to PD, I believe.
During searches like this, it's amazing how many bikes, helmets, or even similar-looking children are in the area. Each discovery sparks a moment of hope, followed by frustration and wasted time. Given the fact that it was dark, that made getting a positive identification on the bike even harder.
Went back to work?
Back down here.
Oh, okay.
Was here for a little bit. Donker, I can't remember. He was talking to somebody, but I'm not sure. Plus, he was on the phone too, I think. So during that time, I said, I'll go check the boardwalk down the river. So I walked down there, flashlight, checking behind the buildings. I walked down the boardwalk and come up, and I see two vehicles. I went down where the boat landing is, went clear around the whole boardwalk thing, and up, which would be behind here. Before that house was here, there's a big hole.
No, you were walking?
Yeah. And I get back there, and I come up, I'm shining there where I check the skate park and everything, and I noticed two cars there sitting. And I think at the time, either my sister called me or I called her, and I remember saying, hold on a minute, or whatever, because I don't know who these two vehicles are. And I realized it was the mother and the group of them. So, I get up there, I'm talking to them, and I guess, this is the part, and I'm sure it's on tape and line and stuff, which bugs me still today. When I walk, there's a white car and a Camaro, or a Firebird, or whatever. But I walked by, and I can remember, I had a flashlight, I just glanced real quick, back seat, through the car, and I remember someone sitting back there. And I go, oh, good, you found her. And they go, no, that's the neighbor kid. So, meanwhile, okay. I walk up towards the hole, and she asked me to, shine the flashlight.
Who did?
And thumb shining and stuff like this.
Where was she at when she asked you to shine that light?
She was closer to the hole. When I first walked, he had two tall kids, which I have paper right on. And okay, let's say this is a hole here. Car, street, car, side by side. White car was there, Camaro or whatever, Firebird. Two tall guys were here.
Now they were men or kids? Tall kids?
Kids, teenagers. Two girls were there. I don't know who. If I seen pictures of them, I'd know who they are. Mother was kind of over here. I forgot everybody's. I'm not really sure where she was at the time. Somewhere in there next. When I came up, I walked by. My mother started coming over, and I remember too. I said, "Good, you found her." And to me, how bothers me to the day, because I just kept walking by, and she goes, "No, that's a neighbor kid." So okay, we started talking. She asked me to shine a flashlight in the hole, so I did. Can I stand up? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay. When I was over by her, when I come around, we started talking. The three women, the two others, they stood right there in front of me. The mother was here, so I started talking to them. I can't remember what all we said, but for some reason I don't know, and I can kick myself in the ass today, but I started flashing my light back at the car, because Sabrina looked back like that. I'm thinking, okay, something just drew me to the car again. So I shined my light, and I stepped over a little, and the mother came around here, so we started talking again. But then I started walking. Well, I wasn't walking to the car yet. I was shining for a little bit. And then I started walking towards the car, and the two guys get back out of their car, and they come up to me too.
You can tell it is weighing on McCann that he didn't check out the car more thoroughly. An 11-year-old girl died, and he may have passed up the chance to catch her killer. What he doesn't realize is that in the eyes of the chief, it looks like he is trying to remove suspicion from himself.
Now, the two guys you're talking about are the kids?
Yeah, the teenagers. So they come up to me.
Okay.
So anyways, I'm standing there, and I'm actually talking to them all now. They started talking about something, so I wanted a better description of the bike. But today, can I say what's on my mind? Anything.
That's why I wanted you here.
Okay. To me, I felt something wrong there. And I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, because I know what it's like to be accused. But a kid in the car, this blonde-haired kid, and I didn't go back and look, and that's what, it's tearing me up inside. But the kid, if you had a kid in the back car, that kid's going to be moving around, doing this and that, The kid just sat there.
Oh, how old a kid are you talking about?
I don't know. I mean, it's not a real little kid,
Male or female?
I don't know that either. And that's what.
You're talking about a kid in the white car? Or
Yes,
kid in the
white car, back
in this car.
And that's what, over these years is just, it bothers me so bad that what if that was her, Because that whole scene down there just.
So then, if you think that was her, then you're saying mom and the other people were involved.
I know, and that's a hell of a statement to be saying, because, and I pray I'm wrong, but in my heart and I said, okay, let's check the cemetery. I remember her asking me, you going straight there? No, I got to check in with Donker. And it bothers me.
What did you say about the cemetery?
I said, when we're down there, I said, okay, let's go check the cemetery. Why
did you say that?
Because we checked everywhere else. And so I said, okay, let's go check there. So and they asked me, you going straight there? I go, no, I gotta go talk to Doctor. Let them know where I'm going. So, but I don't know. There's something about that scene right there. It bothers me to the day, you know, because that means all of them would be involved, and that's hard to,
quite a few people there.
Right.
I'm assuming that those two youngsters behind that vehicle are probably her brothers.
I imagine. I'm not sure. I
And
know
mom's
there
friend.
was a sprayed in two other kids.
That'd be pretty difficult for that many people to
I
keep their
know.
mouth shut for this long.
I know, but I just, because I remember, you know, later down after that, it was, or her sister asked my sister, why do you think it bothered Ray so much? Do you think he might have seen her earlier that day, or you know, earlier, and was afraid to say something? You know, it's like, to me, that's thinking, well, were you trying to get some information out of my sister? Because maybe I really did see something, and I just, I'm not 100% sure. You know, me and my wife's talked about this over and over. I'm thinking,
I don't recall you mentioning this to Lonnie Palmer.
I didn't.
Why not?
I thought I did. You know,
Well, you just got through saying you didn't.
I said I didn't.
You just got through telling me you didn't. I said, why didn't you mention this to Lonnie Palmer? And you said, I didn't.
I don't know if I did. I don't know if it's on the tapes or not.
So then you don't know whether you did or not.
Oh, I know. I don't know if I did or didn't. You know.
Okay, you leave there, where do you go?
Police station, and I let Donker know and say, hey, you're going up there.
So your truck is parked where at this time?
Police station.
Okay.
And I hop in my truck. I head down this alley.
What did you tell Donker at that time?
Told Donker we're going to go check the cemetery.
Okay.
So I go down this road and up the street and get to 5 Points, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And the old park there on the right-hand side, I get out there, look around, turn left, or, you know, up towards the cemetery, across the tracks. I turn left into the first road, and I'm going real slow, both windows shining everywhere. And also, Ed Steinbach, one of my friends, he lives right there in that house.
Which house is that?
It's that big, huge house next to the cemetery on Florence, right there, right next to the cemetery.
Okay.
Anyway, he calls me, and I tell him, I say, hey,
He called you?
I think so, because he's seen me, seen the truck, me flying in there, I'm shining everywhere. He was out in this balcony thing.
McCann is trying to be helpful and cooperative, but he just doesn't interview well. The first people on the crime scene are usually considered suspects for the reason alone. But his situation is even worse because it was his suggestion to look there. Add that to the fact that the victim played with his sister's kids, which potentially gave him access, and you have a recipe for conviction.
Back then it was kind of closed in, he called it his lion's den or whatever. But he called me and asked, you know, and I said, we got a missing girl. And I think shortly after that, heard a scream, pull up a little more, heard more screams, I turned to the right, and that's where everybody was.
No, he called you, and shortly after that you heard screaming?
I think I was still on the phone with him.
Where were you at the time when he called you?
I was right in the first row when you first pull in.
So he's seen you driving. That's a pretty quick phone call.
You know.
I mean,
He didn't instantly call. I mean, I was going slow looking, but he called during that time I was there.
you didn't see any other vehicles at all when you pulled in there?
Yeah. I seen a
Yes,
bunch
sir.
to the, the east side of the cemetery.
And how many did you see over there?
Vehicle was at least 3 maybe.
Just before you heard the screaming?
No, I think I seen him once. You know, I heard it. It brought my attention that way. When I turned, and I seen the lights in the vehicles.
Were you driving with your windows down?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it cold that night, November?
I think it was chilly. I don't remember. But
So you heard screaming, what'd you do?
well, I think I was still on the phone with him and said, hey, I gotta go pull up a little more.
You didn't tell him you heard screaming?
I don't remember. I don't remember if I did or not. I probably didn't. But then I get up to the road that goes to the east, and that's when I heard more screaming. I look up, and there they all were.
He didn't say anything about hearing. Yeah.
No, I don't think so, unless he...
But he's out on his balcony, right?
It's a closed-in balcony thing. He kind of made it himself, because they don't smoke inside the house, smoke outside.
All right, what'd you do after you heard the screaming again?
Once I seen everybody running out, I put the truck in park and jumped out, started running towards them. And that's
Whereabouts were you when you parked your truck?
as soon as I turned, I don't know. I mean, it was, okay, there's the road going to the cemetery, and it goes that way.
Let's say this is Florence
Yeah.
Road over here,
It's the first road going in.
Centerville Road over here.
Okay.
This your buddy's house?
Yeah, right here in the corner. Okay, as soon as I pulled in there, when I pulled in this way, just a little ways, I seen everybody in the distance. I jump out, start running towards them.
Okay, there's another drive there. Were you on this side of the drive or on this side of the drive?
I don't remember that drive, so I probably was on this side.
Well, what'd you do when you got over there?
I started running up towards them, seeing the mother holding her. That's when I was on the phone with Donker, and as I'm talking to him, I turn around and there he is, right there. I guess Ed Rosita said as I was coming in this way, going up, running up there, Donker was coming in the other way, I guess on the other side.
You had your gun with you when you were out there?
I put it in the police car. Trunk.
It's not clear why Bedell is being so persistent about the gun. There was no gun involved in the murder, and McCann had every legal right to possess and carry one.
That wasn't, when you're back here by the soul, that's not the first time you mentioned the cemetery, right?
When I was back where?
Back here in Zaman's house, when they were building the house.
Right, did I mention cemetery earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Donker.
Why didn't you just go check the cemetery?
Then, I don't know. You have to ask Donker that. When we were driving around, I go, kind of like, we didn't know the night was going to end up that way, but kind of joking around because it was just after Halloween. I go, let's go check the cemetery. I can't even remember what I said. I got a bad feeling or whatever. But we didn't go in there, and that's one thing I never got to talk to Donker. Why didn't we? Why didn't we go check it? You know?
But then after Donker goes to the PD, you're by yourself. Why didn't you just go check it if that's what you were thinking about doing?
Before down here, or?
Well, no, when Donker went back to the PD and you were by yourself.
When I was over here, though, right? Correct? Is that what you're
Well, I
asking?
don't know where you were at.
Okay,
Yeah.
before I went back, why didn't I just go straight there?
Yeah. You wanted to check the cemetery, why didn't you go check it?
Because I needed to check. I wanted to check in with Donker. I don't know. I mean, he was tied up. You know, figured he'd go with me, but he was tied up, so I went.
You afraid of going to the cemetery by yourself?
And why? I don't know. I was kind of afraid to walk back there to the boardwalk. You know, even though I had a flashlight. But this whole thing down here, that's what bothers me. I hope I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong, you know. But to me, I wish it could be checked. And I don't mention it in there either, I guess. And
Well, yeah, that's the first time I've heard that mentioned. And boy, I've been reading a lot of reports.
you know, there's so much that went on, and I don't know. I've been talking to my wife about that constantly. It's like,
You've been talking to your wife about that?
yeah, just that what happened down there. It's like, I'm going to kick myself in the ass if what I think really is the way it went, And then why I didn't go back and check, I don't know. I don't, but something down there just, it bugs me. And like I told my wife, I said, I hope at least they ask questions about that down there, I said, man, they can even use me too if they want to bring me into the room, and it's worth a shot, I don't know. It is. To me, it's worth a shot. I want this thing, probably more so, I know you guys want this solved, but I want this thing so solved because it's personal now. Now I'm getting letters,
I'll talk to you about those letters when we get finished here. Else?
Before that night?
Well, was she there after that night?
Jody.
Jody.
Oh, I thought you meant the mother. No, I don't think Jody's ever been to our house. I don't
She
think.
was.
Right.
Did he see her that day?
I think he did after school. If I'm thinking right.
Did he ever talk to you about Jody?
Has he?
Yeah.
Not really.
I mean, before she was murdered.
No. Not that I can recall.
When that body was found, what'd you do out there at the scene?
They had me take the area off.
Who did?
I don't remember now. Somebody handed me the tape and started taping.
You weren't in uniform. They just handed.
Well, whoever handed it to me, I don't know if it was Donker or whoever, they knew who I was. And they had to tape it off.
So in these interviews, you have to ask some personal questions, which, unfortunately, we have to do. How do you get along with your wife? How is your marriage? How has it been? How long have you been married?
6 years now.
Been married 6? Well, what happened? Well, I read that separation order from the court, and I've got a copy of it someplace, but I don't have it with me here. But it seems like you were rather violent in that marriage.
Violent?
Really, well, let me put it this way. Look, reading that thing, you were a real asshole.
Yeah, well, that's her side of the story. I could say the same too,
About her? I suppose you could. But I'm going by what the court paper said. And you probably remember what they said.
I remember reading it.
Perhaps McCann's wife thinks so poorly of him because of the lies that the police have been telling her, mainly that McCann has been cheating on her. They also have told his son that McCann has been soliciting sex from other men in online chat rooms and using drugs, which has made the boy afraid to be around his father.
So, you have interest in other women? That's what I'm told.
Do I have interest? What do you mean? Just like...
I'm told that you would have an affair at the drop of a hat if a woman was interested.
I flirt with women. I mean, I don't know if that counts. I mean, we have people over our house all the time, and tease them and stuff. I mean,
You ever approach any of them when your wife's not around?
Have I ever approached a woman?
At your house? You have parties there?
Sometimes, yeah. Karaoke parties.
You ever approach any of those women?
During the night? I mean, I didn't know her drinking.
Yeah, I'm trying to hit on.
I don't know. I might have.
You would remember that?
I mean...
So, of course, you're like any other guy. You have interest in women. Well, that's not all bad. I'd rather see you have interest in women than guys. What about young girls like Jody?
No.
No?
No.
One thing that bothers me is those politics. And whether you did it or not, I really have a feeling you know more than what you're telling us.
Bedell was instrumental in building the false case against McCann and stated that he didn't care if he was the one who assaulted her or not. He decided McCann was guilty even when forensic evidence proved that that just wasn't true.
If you're protecting somebody, that's
Oh,
silly.
God. You know what? I wouldn't protect my own family. I would not do it. You know? I've been trying to pump information on my sister off and on just to... Because you know what? I feel she knows something more because she had kind of like a nervous breakdown after that. I tried over time, you know, try to pump things out of her, and because the other day, you know, I was asking her, I said, you know what, if you know anything, you got to tell me, because now I didn't tell her about the letters. I just said it's getting pretty personal. You know,
Why didn't you tell her about the letters?
I didn't know if I should be spreading, you know, a problem to you guys. I mean,
Did you drive through that cemetery before the body was found? Did you see anybody else driving a gray pickup truck around there that night? And if I told you somebody seen you driving out of there before that body was found, then that's BS.
Yeah. I never went in there. The only time we were near there was, I think when me and Doc was up near the gas station, or at the gas station.
But neither one of you thought to drive through the cemetery at that time.
No, I wish we would have. You know, why we didn't.
But 11-year-old girl. Who could do that?
I don't know. Believe me, I want to know just as much as you guys do. This has been hell for the last... We went through hell from the get-go, you know? I mean, I don't know you real well, but you know what? If I knew anything, I'd tell you. You know? I wouldn't cover it up for anybody. I don't care if it was somebody in my family or over at my sister's house. If I knew something, I'd be the first one to drag their asses down here. I even told Honeysuck that.
I watched the video from the cemetery when she was buried yesterday. You took that pretty hard.
Yeah, I did.
You took it harder than some of the members of the family. I find that weird.
No, it bothers me because basically we failed our mission, you know, we didn't find her. And then we didn't realize it was going to end up that, you know, like it did. You know, and then this thing, that still haunts me.
Well, I didn't see Docker breaking down. Maybe it's just...
I'm from this town.
You're from the south?
This town.
So you think there's a lot, everybody there just about was from this town. I didn't see anybody breaking down like you did. We just found that kind of odd.
It bothered me to the max.
And it still bothers you.
Oh yeah, it does. You know, I always think, you know, what if it was one of my kids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, my kids right now are scared to, my son's 14, kind of afraid sometimes to walk to school, he's 14.
November 8th, 2007. November 7th. What did you do November 7th?
Was it the day before?
Yeah.
So,
The 7th would be the day before the 8th.
well, one of them days, I know I was up here, we had a training class or something.
You were here at the PD?
Yeah.
About what time of day was that?
It was in the evening. I don't know what time.
About earlier in the day.
I don't know.
Were you home all day?
The day before. Probably up to the time I had to come here.
Do you have any walkie-talkies?
Do I have any? Kids might.
The kids might.
I mean, we've had walkie-talkies over the years.
You ever use them?
Yeah, I'm sure.
What'd you use them for?
I remember one time, me and my son, he took one to school while I talked to him.
The only reason for this question could possibly be to see if McCann was working with someone, but this would be an unusual choice for this particular type of crime.
In between classes, he'd get on, I'll be home,
So the day before, on the 7th, did you talk to any women on that?
I did talk to actually 2 people. I think one was somebody passing through town, and the other one was some woman kind of flirting with me. To me, I said, I thought, okay, I got to know who this is, And I told the person.
Why did you have to know who it was?
Because they asked who I was. And I said, you probably know me, I've coached in this town for over the years, and, and I thought it was someone playing with me.
Did you try to find him?
Did I try to find him? I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Try to find him.
No, I mean, how often do you talk to some woman on a walkie-talkie and try to get set up with her, or what?
Did I try to get set up with her?
Yeah.
No, but I remember trying to wonder who it was. I mean, I got the best man.
So you wondered who it was. What did you do to try to find out who it was?
I don't remember.
Did you ask her where she lived?
I might have.
Bedell is just harassing McCann at this point. Whatever relationship he had with other women has no bearing on the rape and murder of a child, and he's making any interaction seem dark and nefarious. This is partially a tactic to scare McCann into making some sort of confession, but the biggest motivation is just meanness.
I remember at the time, I just, I felt like someone was messing with me, someone that knew me, I don't,
So you don't remember if you drove around trying to find her? Seems like I'd remember something like that.
I might have drove.
I mean, unless I did it, yeah, you do it all the time? Do you do it all the time?
No, I don't. I remember going to the store. If I would have drove by, I could have. I mean, I don't, God.
So you might have tried to find this person.
To see who it was. Yeah, I might have. I mean, I might have drove by.
Did you ask that person how old she was?
Did I ask? It was, according to who was talking to me, it was an older lady.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was one of my friends or somebody knows me messing with me.
Has anybody ever asked you this before? The FBI didn't talk to you about it?
I don't remember. I don't recall. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a flirt, but I mean.
Well, a flirt's a flirt, but weirdo's a weirdo.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a little strange to be talking on a walkie-talkie and just, try to find out where they're at.
Yeah, I understand.
So if you were doing that the day before, were you doing it the day Jody disappeared? No. Were you out trying to pick somebody up?
No, I wasn't, sir. No, I wasn't.
You understand why we
I
weren't
understand.
interested in
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Oh, yeah. But I don't remember asking about it.
You didn't ask where she looked like?
I can't recall. I don't remember.
I find it hard to believe nobody ever discussed that with you before I asked you about it.
Mm-mm.
So, What happened after that body was found? After Jody's body was found, what happened then?
After I
What
taped
you-
the area up with me,
that night?
we went into the crime lab thing.
You went,
Inside it, they took me and walked inside it. There's a bunch of officers in there.
okay.
Took information. Came back here to the PD after that. I think that's when I talked to Lonnie. He talked to me that night. And after that, went to my house. They actually took my clothes, and we came back to the PD.
Did they take anything else from your house?
Like, what do you mean, clothes?
Handcuffs?
Yeah, they took them too. Took my clothes.
Did they take your DNA that night?
No, they took it shortly after that, I guess. Mine and my son's, up at the state police post.
Both of your sons?
No, just my old boy.
How old's the other one?
He was 7 at the time.
So this is what time of the night?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was early a.m., whatever the heck it was, you know. We're down here for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Did you call your wife, let her know what happened to Jody?
I think during that night I did get a hold of her, if I recall, or
By the summer.
yeah. I know they were on the phone for quite a long time. I thought maybe I talked to her and said it's going to be a while. Be down here, so.
And told them to call her.
I
find that weird.
I
First thing I'd do is call my wife, and that's what most people do. Why would you call a friend and say, hey, call my wife?
I don't know, close friends, you know. I was tied up with
Closer to your friends than your wife.
well, you know, I was tied up with what was going on there, you know, and just, you know.
Bedell is just really hung up on McCann's relationship with his wife. At this point in the interview, he's asked more about that than he has about whatever contact McCann may have had with Jody.
I don't know if I did talk to my wife. I'm sure I did during the night, you know.
You want to take another polygraph?
Too long, I'll take whatever you need to take. I'm not hiding nothing.
I prefer to have, it's not that I have no faith in Dave Gizzy, but he's already given you two. And I'd rather he didn't give you another one. I would rather schedule it with the state or another polygraph operator. Right. You're willing to do that.
I've been, you know, working with you guys with, you know.
Yeah, you know, well, a lot of guilty people work at the place.
Well, I
I'm not
understand.
saying you're guilty,
I
but
understand.
you know, there's just a few things that are a little questionable.
I know.
And I'll be honest with you. You know, you're I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but I have I'm going to have some help on this case starting in January. And what we're going to do is we're going to start all over again. Because I came to when I got involved in this, I didn't get involved in it until June of last year. So I'm coming in, I stepped into pretty much the middle of it. As these new investigators are going to do, and we have to get together and start from the beginning again. So you're probably going to be talked to again.
That's fine.
But we have to do that.
Yeah, you know, talking to Lonnie and Honey said, you know,
we're gonna need 100. So you think I ought to talk to your sister again, huh?
Honestly, I think so.
Why do you feel that she may know something that she
Because
hasn't
she's close to that group, the mother, you know, and it just catches me funny that shortly after that, she had kind of like a nervous breakdown, whatever she had. And to me, sometimes I wonder if she knows more than what she's saying. You know, I try to pump a little information here and there without really agreement on her, but I think you should.
What's her husband's name?
She's not married.
Was he her boyfriend at the time?
And no, I think it was John. Maybe she was married at the time, though. John.
He's been interviewed too. What's her boyfriend? How old is your sister? I'm sure I got her date of birth in here someplace.
I think. She's got to be 6-7 years younger than me. I'm 43. She's got to be what?
Okay.
Somewhere in there. I don't know. Maybe she's 37.
No, that's all right. I'm sure it's here in the report. And that letter that you received,
Yeah.
you ain't got nothing to worry about. I know who that is.
Are you serious?
Yeah. That person came and talked with me. And you've got nothing to worry about.
All right,
That's been taken care of. I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, you don't have to tell me. I mean, I don't,
But that's,
kids and stuff, I don't, you know, that's what we were worried about.
you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Trust me. I don't trust you, but trust me.
Yeah.
It appears that the suspicions around McCann have caused him to receive threatening letters. Bedell says that it is taken care of, and while he probably can't tell McCann in case it sparks retaliation, it's doubtful at this point that McCann should have much faith in Bedell's assurances.
Yeah, you can have a copy of that. I'd like to keep the copy.
Yeah. I just want to. I'm surprised that you gave us size on it, and we have mountains of paperwork, and I haven't ran across this.
Yeah, I had to do that for 100 cents.
That's good. So, I'm going to go ahead and get you scheduled for a polygraph, but boy, you're working 5 days a week? How long have you been working there?
Started July 12th.
Is there any possibility that you can get an afternoon off?
I can check.
Because I can't get them set up on a weekend. And they're not as quick as the county. I could probably get somebody tomorrow to do it. But with the state, because they have so many of them, we have to schedule it in advance.
Would I have to miss the whole day, or?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I'd have to speak with a polygraph operator, because they generally take, a good 3 hours.
Okay.
The one you took over here took a while.
Yeah.
But I need, we're eliminating people. I mean, you need to be eliminated.
I want to be eliminated.
Because, as you said, it's...
Well, let me... That it beat me up and out. I told him, I said, damn, I'm not going to jail for someone else's bullshit.
Jail.
Well, they beat me up or something. Took a nightstick to me.
No, but seriously, we have to.
I know.
We've got so many tips and so many people too. It's a process of elimination.
I know. My wife. I remember when I took them polygramms. My wife, she's in the other room talking to other officers, and they had asked her what's bothering him.
Yeah, there's a few strange things going on with you in our eyes, and we have to get it straightened out. But if you do know anything about it at all, Ray,
if I knew something right now, I'd tell
you
you.
make yourself a hero. If you
I want to be a hero, but I'm asking you.
We don't necessarily feel that you did it.
I know I did.
It does look like you know something about it.
See, and that's what I'm wondering if this is bothering me so bad. And I pray that you guys check on this. If I didn't say this to Lonnie,
so you're thinking that Jody might have been in the back seat of that car?
In my heart, yes. In my heart, I really believe that, but I can't prove it. Me and I talked to my wife about this. We talked about it last night too. I said, I gotta. If this wasn't brought out before, I gotta bring it out because what if I'm right? What if I'm right? It sounds so. Because I told her, I said, all these people got to be involved in it. They all got to know. But it's just too funny how the events, when that was going on down there. It's just. Why would I go by the window and say, "Oh, good, you found her"? Unless something. And then I kept walking on. She goes, "No, it's a neighbor kid." Okay, produce the neighbor kid. I want to know who the neighbor kid is. And who was back there? Was the kid sleeping because they weren't moving around? And like I told my wife, I said, "Man, I hope because in the past information I gained at first, it got back to the mother." And I'm saying, man, it can't get back to her because these people need to all be together in a group and question however you guys do it. Was there a kid, or who all was there and this and that? If they mentioned a kid, this, that, okay, who was it? And if you want me to come in, man, I told my wife, I can come and say, if you try to get a confession out of them, if it really did happen that way,
So what you're telling me is there's two males
behind the white car,
standing here, and there's two women,
right there,
females, standing here. Joe Carver's over here.
Now, Joe Carver's mother, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've always called her Joe. Okay.
Call her what?
Joe.
Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe.
Okay.
Carver.
And Sabrina, I'm not 100% where she was at. She had to be back in here somewhere.
So there's another person here somewhere.
Yeah, Sabrina, I don't know where the last name is.
So we've got 4 women here.
Yeah.
McCann's strong belief that those people may have known something is only hurting him at this point. Right now, he's suffering from a false sense of guilt about an unexplored avenue, and while it's understandable why it might eat at him privately, it is too similar to the way a guilty person would try to invent another suspect.
What you guys?
And we've got
Person in the back seat.
Person in the back seat. But you don't know whether it's a kid or a child or an adult.
It was a kid. It wasn't no adult. It was a kid.
The color of their clothing.
When I was standing out there with the flashlight, I'm thinking they had something dark on, white shirt.
Something dark on and a white shirt.
From the distance, the shirt stuck out. The white did. So they must have had a jacket on or something.
The shirt stuck out. What do you mean stuck out?
The white. You see more white than you could anything else. But even as I'm standing over in front of the car, I shined my light a couple times, you couldn't see the face. They're sitting in the back seat, however they were, you couldn't. But I just don't get it. If it was a kid, the kid would have been moving around. There's no doubt in my mind. And why didn't the kid get out?
White shirt and what else?
Blonde hair, dark
Blonde hair.
What kind of jacket? I don't know. But I just remember the white stuck out the most. All I'm asking you is,
long blonde hair, short blonde hair.
I just remember blonde hair.
What are you asking me?
All I was going to say is, all I'm asking you, will you please check in on that?
Certainly.
Because if I'm right, besides kicking myself in the ass, because I didn't go back and really check, it just bothered me. Something about that, something wasn't right.
But you're telling me there's 1, 2, 3, 4
There's 4
females.
girls, 4 females. Somebody in the car,
2 guys standing behind the vehicle. You don't know whether they're kids or
teenagers.
teenagers.
Um,
And there's a
Child
young
in
person in the back
seat.
How do you know it's a young person? Just because they're small?
Yeah, I got, you know. I mean, if it was an adult. But it was, you know, it hadn't been a kid. And she even said so. She goes, it's a neighbor kid.
You asked Joe who it is.
Well, when I was walking by, I go, oh good, you found her. And then she goes, no, it's the neighbor kid. And I just continued walking.
But she wasn't down in the hole?
No, she was just a little distance from it.
Okay. You're positive.
Am I?
But she wasn't down in that cellar? Well.
No, am I positive the mother wasn't down in the hole?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. She was, I mean, it looked like a big hole. You know, she was standing there.
And you all left at the same time?
Yeah, I went back to PD and they went to the cemetery.
But did you go back to the PD before they left, or?
I was walking. They got in their vehicles, I guess, and left. I walked to the PD.
So there's no chance that she walked down into that hole after you left?
Oh, God, I don't know.
But you seen the vehicle leave?
No, I can't swear that I've seen the vehicles actually take off. No. I just know in my heart and soul something wasn't right there. I didn't, you know, like I told my wife, I try to go through this over and over and over, and I think, why would I say, oh, good, you found her, you know? I don't know. But why I didn't go back to the car, that's what bugs me the most. Why didn't I? Was I scared that, you know?
McCann really needs to let this go. He has nothing more than a hunch, and all it's doing is muddying the waters in his own case.
I don't know. But it's weird later down the road, I think it was her that asked my sister, you know? Like she was trying to get information out of her. And that, to me, that was just, it's kind of weird. I just, like I said before, I just hope this gets checked. Because what if I'm right, you know? What if I am? You know, I don't know who killed her. But to me, something about this, I hope I'm wrong, but what if I'm right?
I will see to it in the polygraph you're asked about this.
Okay.
Okay. But you never mentioned that to anybody else before.
Like I said, I don't know. I thought I talked to someone about it. Maybe I don't know. I really don't.
Well, maybe
My wife asked me too because I'm not in detail there, you know? But this means a lot to me because I feel something wasn't right there. And I'm going to kick myself in the ass if it is true. And that means everybody there was involved. And that, see, I don't know, I just see her at the bottom on TV sometimes, and it just gives me, we don't go down in things, because I got mixed feelings on that because of this down here. man, if you want to use me to for whatever, you do it. Because I just, my feeling in my heart, I feel that was her. I do. Boy, if you want to use me to come into the room and try to get a confession out and say, I can say whatever, I can say, you know what I seen down there. Use me for whatever you got to use me for. Because if it is true, one of them got a crack, they got to. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And, you know, at least I'll feel better that, okay, it wasn't.
You actually believe her mother could have killed her?
I don't
Or
know.
knew about her death and cover it up?
Do what?
Knew about her death, how she died, and cover it up? Who killed her?
I don't know if she knows who killed her. All I know...
Well, what you're saying is what you're telling me is you think it may have been her in the back seat.
Yeah.
So if it's her in the back seat, Mom knows about it, right?
Right, but I don't know if she knows, if you know, who the killer is, if that's what you're asking. But I know she'd be covered, you know, that would be a cover-up.
I mean, if she didn't know who the killer is, why would she go to dump the body in the cemetery if she had her in the back seat?
I don't know. As I know, from what my sister said, you know, the reason why Jody was at my sister's is because she was out getting stoned. You know, I don't know if that's in any reports, but that's what I'm saying. You need to talk to
How do you know that?
Because my sister told me. She goes, that's the reason why Jody was at my sister's, because she's out getting high with her friends or whoever. You know, that's why I'm saying you got to talk to my sister more.
I will.
I want you to. Because if I'm right on this, my gut feeling, whole heart, soul, I just believe that was her, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm not your enemy.
You think something could have happened at Ann's house?
Could have something? I don't know. That's, you know, doctors asked me before, have you really talked to your sister and this and that? I don't know. Actually, I haven't, you know. Well, you know, my sister or not, you know, if something happened there, someone's got to say something. Somebody has to say something.
So have you talked with her?
I've talked to her here and this and that, you know, little bits. I haven't gone into, like, sit her down, just constantly drill her. No, I haven't. But the other day, you know, I asked her, I said, Anna, you know, because I knew I was coming here. I said, you got to tell me. If you know anything, you got to tell me right now. You know, you got to tell me. And you guys need to talk to her. Because if she knows something, she's got, you know, she's got to say something.
What about your brother, Randy? Would he be...
Bedell seems happy enough to let McCann continue on about his theory, but it's almost like he's only doing it because it sounds more ridiculous and made up the longer McCann goes on, which Bedell knows will only help the prosecution. That concluded his interview with Bedell, but on April 19, 2011, McCann was brought back for another interview with Detective Brian Fuller.
Involved anyway? He's got a couple boys that were, you know, Travis.
Boys were there, but I don't think my brother, you know. I mean, me and him ain't close. I think just found out from my wife that he got busted for meth or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Both of them did.
Really? So, yeah, he's got his own world, you know.
You guys aren't close.
You know, he went his life with the drugs and stuff, and you know, he's done my dad wrong over the years. You know, he stole my dad's. I remember one time he stole my dad's retirement watch. Sold for a bag of dope. We had to go get that back. You know, robbed my dad blind all the years. I think they made amends before he died, but you know. Like I said, man, I'm not your enemy. If you want help, you just tell me what to do. You know, in my heart, I believe this. I really do.
Well, will be looked into. Probably should have.
Thank you.
But the reason, I told you, the reason that we question you is 2 polygraphs, your idea to go look at the cemetery, and
Well, I know. But to me,
you're driving around the day
What's-
before with
so-
the walkie-talkies trying to pick up some chick, and it's just weird.
I know.
Well, you're a little weird.
I guess I'm weird. But I tell you what, there ain't no way in hell, man. I will help you guys know whatever you want me to do. You know, I've done everything I've, you know, Lisa asked me to do, and I don't know, whatever you want me to do, that's all I got to say. I'm just not going to jump for someone else's bullshit, I know that.
Well, why don't you go to jail for somebody else's bullshit? I want
Call
the
me.
person who did it.
Can I have that? Can you make a copy so I can have it on me? Okay.
We're going to make a copy.
All right.
You can,
I left. I can't remember if I went around the post office, just checking there, but I must have went down. I can't remember if I went through the alley or around the block to get to the park. And that would be on the north side of the park. That's where I got out and started looking to the park.
Is that this park, the center of
Canyon
town
Park?
park, Canyon,
Yeah.
where the big canyon
Yeah.
is?
I left. I can't remember if I went around the post office, just checking there, but I must have went down. I can't remember if I went through the alley or around the block to get to the park. And that would be on the north side of the park. That's where I got out and started looking to the park.
Is that this park, the center of
Canyon
town
Park?
park, Canyon,
Yeah.
where the big canyon
Yeah.
is? Okay. So between DNS and there, other than driving, did you get out of your vehicle at any point?
I don't think till I got to the park.
Okay, but you saw a bike.
Right. I did see a bike.
Okay, did you make any calls about that bike?
I don't know. You have to check with Law&Crime on that. I don't know if I actually called him at the time or told him later.
Okay. But he didn't come there.
No.
Okay. Okay. Did you guys ever go back and check that?
No.
Can you tell me again where that was? Because I don't know these places you're going to.
no.
I'm not from here.
I know. How would I explain this to you? Well, okay, we're at the police station. That little Falcon Mart. I think it's a white building.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be right behind that. And there's that one-way street.
Okay.
Okay, so it was in between, I believe, the house and the Falcon Mart.
Okay.
But we never did go back and check it.
Let me ask you this: you ended up. Well, now I'll jump ahead.
Okay.
You ended up finding her in the bike.
Right.
Was it one and the same? Was it the same bike?
I don't know. I didn't get a close look at the other bike.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. At the one by
Right.
Falcon.
Right.
Right. So you don't know if that. I mean, could she have been right there? You know.
I don't know. And then, you know, we never checked the bike, and I mean, I guess afterwards I should have followed up on it, see if that bike belonged to somebody there, you know.
I mean, I'm just wondering if she just happened. Is there a place where people would live right there, where she
I
could
think
be?
I don't know. I don't know where her friends are. I don't know. I think that's an apartment back in there.
A bike was seen, but it was never determined whether or not it was Jody's. The location of the bike might not have even mattered, because it is possible it was moved after her death to avoid suspicion.
I'm just wondering if maybe you saw the right bike and then it got dumped later. I mean, you couldn't describe
No,
one way or another.
no.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, I see what you're saying.
If
yeah.
if you obviously saw the bike when it was found,
Right.
right? But there'd be no way for you to say that.
That was the same bike? No.
No.
No, there's no way.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you're at Cannon Park now, and you're just driving around between DNS and Cannon Park around the way you described.
Yeah.
And
Stopped
then
at the park.
you're at the north end of the
Mhm.
park on a side street.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that street is? It's like 4th or 5th or something.
Fourth, I believe.
Okay. Okay, and then now you.
I get out of the truck there,
Okay.
and I go into the park, look around, check out near the slides, check out near the, what do you call them things that spin
Around.
checked around there. Couldn't tell you how long I was there. Walked back to my truck, got back to my truck, pulled out on the highway, headed south. That's when I seen the police car to my right. That would be, I think it goes up to 5th Street, I believe. It'd be 5th Street, I'm sure. So I went to the,
Was it Donker?
I'm guessing so, it had been.
Was it Constantine car?
Yeah, yeah, I had been Donker, because then I went around the block, came up on the south side of the park, pulled over, and then it's when me and Donker met. That's where the gun thing came in, and that's where I got the flashlight.
Okay. When you see the police car, is it rolling? I mean, is it going down the road?
It's moving.
Okay. And does he stop for you, or does he stop somewhere else and you just drive up on him? I mean, how do
He
you
came up on me at the park, I believe. I'm thinking right.
Okay.
Or I don't know if it's about the same time or something, but I remember we pulled over and he come up to me.
Okay. And then this is a conversation about the gun,
Yeah.
and you get a flashlight from him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he must have had an extra one with him, or he give you his.
I don't know if it was his or he had an
Okay.
extra.
Do you recall what conversation took place there, as far as what he knew or what you knew?
I don't remember. Conversation we had. I just know what's about to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not much about
Much,
where you had been, where you had already looked, tried to devise a plan, or did you tell him about the bike?
Although a year has passed since the previous interview and 4 since the crime, they're still asking the same questions, as if he's going to remember events with any more clarity. As time passes, people can begin to remember things differently, and sometimes it's a false memory influenced by the things they have read or heard. These changes will do nothing to help his credibility.
I don't know if it was there I told him or somewhere after that or when we hooked up or I'm
Okay.
not really sure.
Okay. All right. All the places that you've been up to that point, you didn't have any light assistance.
Mhm.
You're just researching, right?
Mhm.
Is it dark?
At that time, I think it was.
I mean, are you able
Yeah, I mean, I could see with the street lights and stuff, but I'm sure
Right.
it's dark.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you meet up with Donker, and as far as any conversation goes, you
I
don't
don't
remember.
remember.
And then what?
After we separated, I went back south on 131, went to the dollar store. Stopped there, seen 2 cars in the parking lot. Went up, I believe I got out of the vehicle, went up to the window, seeing if I could see somebody. Couldn't see anybody. I drove around the building, checking, and then I went through the baseball fields, checking. I got out near the Rocket football fields where they practice. Got out there, looked around for a little bit, and there, I believe named Donker, but he called me. I'm sure he called me. think. I just know we were talking then.
Okay.
Whether we called a couple times there.
Well, you're by the football field, you're saying?
I think so.
Okay.
That's when he told me to meet him down at, there's a place called Tumble Down. There's a path that leads back there. That's when he told me to go down and meet him there. But he wasn't there.
Okay.
I continued leaving there. At the time, it was supposed to be a new football field. I'm shining my light over there on the, near baseball fields and stuff. There's a back road from there. I don't know the name of it. It kind of goes behind apartments and school. There's east side school. Shine my lights through there. I stopped, get out. There's a wooded area behind the apartments. Just checking there real quick. Kept going, checked east side, behind east side, shining, just back and forth, shining. From there, went straight, I think now, all the way to the stop sign. There's a plastic company, a corner.
So you're at the stop sign of Florence and that back road?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I want to cross, I think, it goes, I don't know if it zigzags a little or goes right across.
It doesn't go straight across.
Okay, zigzags a little.
Mm-hmm.
I just know it's right next to the plastic company. I went down that and headed, it's like a curve,
Mm-hmm.
and went straight down where the Tumble Dam path is. And he wasn't there, and then I think I called him then and asked him where he was at. And he said he was at the PD, so I went back to the PD. And that's where I think we hooked up. I can't remember anything now. Get the police car right away, or I know he was on the phone through that night a few times, we went to DNS. I guess at that time he had a picture, I believe. He showed it to whoever was working at the time. They weren't working earlier, I guess. We went out 131, we north, like you're heading to Threers.
Was it the same people that were there when you were there?
When we went back,
Yep.
in Donker?
Yep.
No, I don't think so. I know earlier it was a heavier set lady that I talked to.
Okay.
I really don't remember who was there.
So far, none of the people McCann has mentioned have had any connection with the case, and there was never any real reason to consider them suspects. Still, it would have been a good idea to get their names out there at the time, because even if they weren't connected with the murder, their statements might have helped confirm the general details of his story.
I mean, Donker.
Did Donker know that you had been there already?
Yeah, I think through their phone conversations, I told them I was
Okay.
going there, I believe.
Okay.
From there we went south or north to, I guess the lady worked there, or manages it, or whatever she does. We went out there, talked to her and her husband for a little while. Left there.
Just to
Okay.
stop you for a second, you're with him now in
Yeah.
his police car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, left there. See, this was, I don't remember all the places we went, but I know at one time, I don't know if it was exactly when we were coming back, the gas station on the north side of this bridge, on the right-hand side, if we're coming back south, we stopped there. I think we took the picture in there. I walked around the building with my flashlight, checking around. There, I don't know if we went back to the PD directly, because I know this could be another night too. I mean, I'm working on duty. I thought we got gas, and that might even been before I think we got gas. I'm not 100% sure now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was another night, or I think we were in the trailer park. I don't know if that rings a bell, or I think. I mean, and then, these nights working together it bleeds in, but I think it was the same night. I think where we're at now. Guess back at the PD.
During the time that before you double up with him, when you're searching on your own,
Mm-hmm.
do you run across anybody else looking?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I actually ran across someone else's path that was looking, or
Because I'm thinking about this time, there's a lot of people
Yeah.
out driving around.
You know, I mean, I'm sure there's vehicles out everywhere, but I don't know if I ever came across. I actually talked to somebody.
I mean, did you see anybody else with like lights or shining or anything like
Not
that?
I can remember. And I'm sure there's 100 people.
See,
out
because the
looking.
problem is that tips,
Mhm.
people are calling on each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
People are calling on you,
right.
and although you didn't call on any, you didn't see anything suspicious whatsoever.
Mhm.
Or anybody driving slow, or anybody shining lights, or
Yeah, I guess it just never came across my mind. You know,
Mhm.
I'm out looking. You know, I'm sure there's many others out
Right,
looking. You know.
right.
And during that time, I don't know if me and my sister was on the phone during that time. I know we were again later. I'll get up to that point when you're ready to get
Okay,
out there.
okay, okay.
But I think we're at the PD, and
After you returned. Is this after
we're
you
Donker.
after you returned with going to the lady's house?
Lady's house.
And think maybe you got gas, maybe trailer park, whatever.
See, yeah, I don't know what sequence. I don't know if we came back to the PD first, and that was maybe the time that Donker decided to get an Amber Alert, and then maybe we went back out. I'm not sure, you know.
Okay.
That's something we have to get with Donker on.
Okay. All right. Okay, so at least at some point you're back here at the police department and
Mhm.
you again continue to search on your own,
Right,
away from him.
right. I guess it was some other people came down to the PD. He was busy with them. I remember telling Donker, I'm gonna go leave my mom's sister's house. I went there, and that's when I went down the alley, flashing back forth, seeing the bike. So that's when I got on and called him again.
You
Yeah,
saw them down here? The mother?
Not back here yet.
No,
That was actually the PD.
right here, right,
Right.
at the police department.
Yeah.
That's before you left Donker.
Right.
Okay?
I believe, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe or do you know?
Well, I know I seen him here.
After you and Donker had returned,
Right.
you saw the mother here
Right.
with some other people.
Some other people.
Okay.
I mean, I had family members, whoever they
Okay.
were.
And they were still here when you left.
Yeah, because they came down to the spot where
Where
I
you found
found
the
the bike.
Okay.
After I called Donker, I searched my mom's yard, front and back, and then they came. I parked my truck. And Donker came. We went and checked out the bike real good, and
What made you call about that bike?
because I must have had the description by then.
By now, the police have his original statement, and bringing him in every few years isn't going to help. The only thing they have against him is he suggested looking where they eventually discovered the body. The DNA evidence doesn't match. McCann had no real connection with the child, and there is no witness who has any incriminating information. They want someone to blame, and they have chosen McCann.
I'm trying to think. Somewhere in there we got the description. I don't know when.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
somewhere in there we got it. A bike laying there, odd place. You know.
What was the description? Do you remember?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember this now. God, I'm thinking silver bike.
Was this bike silver?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Well, you can tell it's been there a while.
Okay.
From there, my sister's kid, Steven, he was with somebody else. I guess, I was parking the way where he can get out. They were wanting to go somewhere. So that's, from there, God, I really draw my brain. Did we go back to the PD?
This is why you're at your sister's or your mom's. I don't know what you call it.
Mom's sisters,
Okay,
yeah.
whichever. While you're parked there, Steve is trying to leave and he can't.
Yeah,
Is
because I'm
he
watching him.
aware that Jody is missing at this time?
I'm sure they are. I mean,
Okay.
that's where we got our information, the sister. And I don't know who he is with. I know he's asked me to move my truck. They left. I don't know where they went.
Okay. Okay. So everybody shows back up to look at this bike that you found, and you guys realize that it wasn't the one.
Right.
Yeah, because it had been there for a while.
Grass was growing through the spokes and stuff.
Okay. And then what happens? And by the way, what time do you think this is now?
Oh, Lord. I don't know. Oh, I don't know.
You got 2.5 hours, okay?
Yeah.
From the time she's at your house until the time the body is discovered.
Well, I don't know what time it would be. I'm sure, hopefully you can get the phone records. It'd be nice if you get the conversations. God, I don't know. This son never dawned on me, check time, you know, and why. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I think from after there, we went back down to PD, I believe.
Everybody?
I think so.
Okay. What kind of car was the mother in?
It's a white car. I don't know what kind of car it was. I believe it was a 4-door. I believe. I couldn't tell you the year, but I know what it was.
Make, model, nothing?
No.
Who was she with?
About that time, I was getting to the time almost back here. It's jogging my memory. Some of them I don't know their names. Her, the 2 boys, which I don't know if the boys were hers, teenagers. 2 girls. And according to her, she said it was her cousin in the back seat. But that's what she's telling now. But when she told me, it was a neighbor kid. So
You guys can meet.
yeah.
Okay. How do you know her?
Years ago. I think you see my brother. Years ago.
Are you referring to
Teenage kids, the 2 boys.
do you know whose boys they
I
are?
don't know if they're hers or
Hers being
the mother.
okay. Would you know them if you saw them?
You mean this? If none of this would have happened, would I
Then.
just know then? I don't know who her boys really are. You know, I
I'm just
know,
wondering.
I could just kind
That's
of.
different than what I was told. That's why I'm wondering if they're her boys or if we're talking about some other people.
I don't know.
You've seen her son since then?
I see a blonde-haired kid walking down the town. I don't know if that's the same one. I didn't really pay much detail to them. I just knew they looked like teenagers,
Okay.
kind of tall, slender.
He's back to the same story about the group he talked to that may have possibly had a young child in the backseat of their car. Just like before, it's met with heavy skepticism. By now, it's also doubtful he would recognize those boys after so many years because things like facial features, hair, height, and weight could have also altered significantly in that time.
Okay. Who? Where the bike is in the alley? Is it in the alley?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not really. It's off the side of the grass.
Okay. Donker comes down. Who's there with you when you find this bike?
I'm by myself.
Okay. Who arrives to inspect it with you? Donker?
Yeah.
The mother?
I believe so.
Who else?
Tall kid, black hair. I think he was the one that said, "Yeah, that's the bike." You know, that we realized it wasn't.
Okay. Tall kid with black hair?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't know who else was it. I don't know if the 2 girls were that group at the time. You know, I'm not 100% sure.
The other one?
No, I don't know if I remember. Could have been.
Would you know her if you saw her?
I think that was the first time I've seen her in years.
When?
Sabrina.
What was the
That
first
night,
night?
I believe.
Okay.
And she looked every day in the way. I think she had purple hair back in the day when she was dating my brother.
Wow.
Scary.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But when you're ready, I'll take you through that whole scenario down there,
Okay. Down where?
down behind the police department.
Okay. I'm almost there.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out who's with this group of people that show up to.
See, I don't know if it would be the exact same group that was behind the police department or not, you know.
How many people showed up?
It was a pretty little group. I mean, I don't know the numbers.
How many cars showed up?
Down there,
Mhm.
a police car, and I believe Joe's car,
Okay.
as far as I know.
Okay. But there was definitely a male teenage boy or two with her then.
I believe so.
Okay. Okay, so that's not the bike. Then now where are we going?
I think we went back to PD. I believe everybody did. I know Donker had questions, I guess. He was on the phone, I believe, again. I think that's when I told Donker, I said, I'm going to go check the boardwalk area. So I went down there, checked near the river, went through the whole old boardwalk, flashlight, which was kind of freaky. It's dark. Came all the way through. I don't know if you guys been there yet.
On the boardwalk?
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to see where we're located, which
I know where it's
I
at.
don't know, my hand was mixed up right now. But anyways, I come out the other end, which would be on the east side. Came up there, and I know there's some bush and stuff, shining light, shining near park area. I think I actually went into like a skate park. That part, I think I looked too. Once I realized and I looked up, started walking, I guess I realized somewhere at that point I seen two vehicles side by side. As I looked, I can remember two teenagers were behind the white car, two girls was up further, mother was near the hole, roughly in between the car and the hole. Let me make sure I got the right people. Enough people here. Two boys,
They were in a car by themselves?
two girls.
The two boys. You see two cars, right?
Right.
Can you describe
Everybody was
them?
out.
No, no, everyone's out of the car?
Yeah. Well, except where the kid was. In
Okay.
the back seat.
Okay.
The other car I think was like a Firebird Camaro.
Okay.
Something like
That
that.
makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I'm walking up, I think that's when my sister called me. And I remember telling her, I said, I don't remember all exactly what I said, but I said, as I'm walking up, I say, I think I see the mother. I remember my sister saying they checked the schools. There's a name here, I'd have to look it up. Girl already checked the cemetery, and I think that's what stuck in my mind about cemetery. Checking it again because that's the way I am. You know, after the cemetery, I would check the schools again. Christy Person or something like that. Pearson.
Okay.
My sister said she already checked the cemetery. That point as I'm walking up.
The sequence of events, as well as who performed what action, have become muddled over the years. McCann has mentioned that he's talked about it often with his sister, which actually could have done more damage than help. Sometimes one person will trust somebody else's memory more if they sounded sure, and will alter their story to fit with that version. They aren't trying to be dishonest or evasive, but it does make it harder to separate fact from fiction.
Really don't know what I'm thinking. It just seemed weird. Who are these people? I figure, okay, somebody, you know, as I was going first before my sister, I'm thinking, well, maybe people looking. Okay. When I got closer, I told them this. Ended up hanging up, I guess, and walking Okay, like I said, the two boys there, two girls were there. I guess time we were starting to get closer, people were moving around. Should I get up and stand and go through this, or I don't know what makes it easier for me. Okay, and then I had my flashlight, the white car, the other car was next to it. I remember just walking by, just glancing real quick. You know, struck me weird, I guess. It was something, it just struck me weird. So after I get,
What did?
it just, everybody's out, okay, one kid there in the car, because it made me keep checking back. Okay, I'll get to that.
Are you referring to the
Where was in the car?
Firebird?
No,
the other car?
No, white car.
Okay.
Kid was in the white car.
Okay.
I know I passed the car, quick glance, I go, oh good, you found her. Thinking, okay, it was blonde-haired kid, you know, thinking, okay. And she goes, no, it was a neighbor kid. Why I didn't double check again, I kicked myself in the ass for that one. I kept going, went over to the mother, she's closer to the hole. And I remember talking to her for a little bit, can't even remember the conversation. Two girls came over to me. There was Sabrina and the two girls. The mother was back here at the time. And I remember, don't know what kept drawing me to the car, but it did. I'm going to get back, talking a little bit, looking back as I was doing that. So I do remember that. And then all of a sudden the mother came around. They were perfect line. That's what kind of gets me too, like they're don't want me to see something. That's the feeling I got. So I started going around them. Two guys were in their car at the time, teenagers. They come up to me quick. And that's when I started asking them about the better description of the bike. But every once in a while I'd shine at the car. And couldn't see the kid's face. I believe the kid was more to the left side. Not all the way to the left, but I mean if you had to divide it a little to the left. And the whole time, kid did not move. And that's what haunts my ass till today. Kid would be moving. I don't care whose kid it is. That kid's going to be curious, want to know what's going on, come to the window. That kid did not move one iota. Even shining with a flashlight, kid did not move. And that's what haunts my ass. And I got questions about that, and I'd like to ask you, because I think I fucked up. Do my job. I didn't do it right. And I don't want to blame anybody, because I know what it's like. You know, we've gone through hell. You know, we've worried about our kids. We've lived in fear, afraid something's going to happen to our kids now. You know, we've got letters sent to the house, which I guess they found out was sent them. You know, to me it felt like a threat. I don't know if you heard about these letters. Okay. You know, my wife's talked about this. She at first didn't believe me, I guess. You know, she didn't go, you sure what you saw? I kept telling her, yeah. To me, in my heart, unless she knows something different, I swear it was her. I can't prove it because I'm a dumbass and then go back and...
Why is that?
I don't know. Was I scared?
You're looking for her.
I know. But I don't know, as I passed the car, did I see something that just scared me? The whole situation down there just scared me. And I just, you know, that's why it bothers me so bad. It bothers me. The question I'm going to ask you is, do you know for sure who that kid was in the back of that car? Do you guys know?
No.
Has anybody brought that kid forward? The kid they say it was supposed to be?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I can't answer that.
Letting McCann continue on this way seems fairly useless. It's a confirmation bias hovering on the edge of obsession, and while it is understandable to some extent, it does nothing to move this case forward.
I'd like to see that kid again, the one they're saying it is. Just get a visual and see if anything jogs my mind, you know? I'd really like to see that. And here's the thing is me, when Vidal got the information, he showed her video, my whole conversation of that, from what I hear. And damn, it's all over on Facebook or whatever that's called, you know. And to me, I'm thinking, that's the last person. Hopefully they got that other group together first and asked them questions. I don't know if they did or didn't.
Did you tell anyone about this?
About
The girl?
I don't think I did at the time. I don't, and I know it's not in my report. You know, I couldn't remember if I said something about Palmer a long time ago, or he just, or is it something, it came,
Palmer.
He's a detective in Center Grove.
Oh, Ronnie.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was the only one treated me decent through this whole thing. I respect that. I don't know if it's something, I have to get with my wife on this. I remember one day the mother came by the house. I don't know if that what jogged my memory, you know, and just thought about all that, and everything started coming back to me, you know. My heart and soul thinks it was her. I hope I'm proven wrong by you guys. I hope I am. But to me, something don't seem right. And then it's, to me, it's like, man, that means everybody's involved. That group's all involved. They know something. And part of me, I want to help you guys so much. And I've been wired before, drug deals. I'd like to get them, maybe them two girls, and they either, you know, the whole good cop, bad cop thing, and see if we can get a confession out on one of them. I really would, you know. You know, I'm thinking, I want to be proven that, so I can rest easier and get that out of my mind at least. I want to know who that kid was. I want to know. You know, and in the past...
That's huge, you know that?
Yeah, it's very huge. Because, you know, I kept telling my wife, I said, if I'm right on this, somebody better give me the key to the city or
I
something.
mean, you're pretty much saying that you're really confident that that was
My
her.
heart tells me, but I don't want to be... If I'm wrong,
I mean,
I hope I'm wrong, actually. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm wrong.
which means you're putting in all of them in the mix.
That's a big thing to say. Yeah, you're right. And it scares me. It scares me to death.
Would you be able to testify to that?
I'd have to. It was my job.
Would you be able to say, if somebody asked you, you know, are you certain that that was her?
Am I 100% certain? They're going to ask that. My heart tells me it was. But I know what it's like to get blamed, you know? It scares me. But my heart and soul tells me, just because of the way everything lined up down there, you know, them kind of blocking me off, Sabrina kept looking back, the voice rushing up to me real quick when I came over, my heart tells me that was her. It really does. But if I'm wrong, I guess, take it two ways. I'm glad I'm wrong, if that's the case.
Did you get a chance to look in that car when you're at the bike?
Look at the car.
Did you
At the
get
cemetery?
No, when you're up with this bike, up in the alley.
No, I didn't get a chance to look at the car. No, I didn't.
She would have had to have been in there then also,
I don't know.
because you came directly back. Oh, you went to the boardwalk.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long they were down there. I hope I'm wrong, but I want to know who the kid was.
I hope you're not wrong. I'd like to be able to.
Well, I see what you're saying. Well, that's one hell of a thing. If I'm right, somebody better be apologizing to me. I want to apologize anyway. I mean, I want to be apologized to anyways by this department. I did my job that night. Did what I was supposed to do.
Well, Ray, with all due respect,
I didn't do it down there, and that's what I told you. That's why it haunts me. Because I don't know, something scared me. I seen something that, and I just froze up. You know, I guess shit happened. You know, but I don't know. That's what it made me. Tell my wife, it just makes me sick every time I see her on TV. Thinking I left. I can't remember if I went around the post office, just checking there, but I must. Later changes. I guess shit happened. Just because of the way everything lined up down there. You know, them kind of blocking me off.
McCann circles the same subject endlessly. It feels like he could repeat the same thing for hours and not get tired of discussing it. Fuller doesn't show much interest in asking any pertinent questions.
Sabrina kept looking back. The voice rushing up to me real quick when I came over. My heart tells me that was her. It really does. If I'm wrong, I guess you take it two ways. I'm glad I'm wrong, if that's the case.
Did you get a chance to look in that car when you're at the bike?
Look at the car.
Did you
At
get
the
a-
cemetery?
No, when you're up with this bike, up in the alley.
No, I didn't get a chance to look at the car. No, I didn't.
Would there? She would have had to have been in there then also,
I don't know.
because you came directly back. Oh, you went to the boardwalk.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long they were down there. I hope I'm wrong, but I want to know who the kid was.
I hope you're not wrong. I'd like to be able to.
Well, I see what you're saying. Well, that's one hell of a thing. If I'm right, somebody better be apologizing to me. I want to apologize anyway. I mean, I want to be apologized to anyways by this department. I did my job that night. Did what I was supposed to do.
Well, Ray, with all due respect,
I didn't do it down there, and that's what I told you. That's why it haunts me. Because I don't know if something scared me. I seen something that, and I just froze up. You know, I guess shit happened. You know, but I don't know. That's what it made me. I told my wife, it just makes me sick every time I see her on TV, thinking, "Oh God, she is responsible for putting her here." You know, I've always had mixed feelings this whole time. You know, they did things in the park. I never went down to it. Me and my wife, I never went down there because the feelings I had towards that, you know, her thinking his family's involved with it. But you know, me and my wife talk. I'm gonna trust you. I have no reason not to trust you. They did me wrong, but I guess they were doing their job too. You know, I respect that. But I did my job too, not to the fullest, obvious. But my heart and soul, I'm thinking.
Well, I gotta just say, and I guess this is gonna have to be part of the trust factor with me. But
Okay.
Ray, I don't think you can stand on that box and say that you did your job.
I know.
So, I mean, if you see somebody that you think is her, and you're looking for her, and you don't act upon that at all,
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly
then
right.
that is a failure.
That is.
I gotta call, like I said.
Right. Yeah, I felt my mission, my job. You're right. I did. Because if that really was her, I did not do my job. You know? You're 100% right.
From me outside looking, I'm not there. I'm not going
Right.
through the motions, looking and, you know, tied into it the way you are.
Right.
I'm on the outside looking in. So,
I felt you're right.
excuse me for being
Yeah.
somewhat judgmental, but
It is what it is. You're right. I felt like that was really her, but I want to know who it was. I do, so I can rest a little bit easier. If they prove who it was, so be it.
how many people piled back in that car?
I don't know. I walked the police department before they took off, I believe.
Okay. Well, it is what it is, like you said. We can't go back in time.
No, I can't, you know. Believe me, if I could go back in time. At least that.
What would you do different?
I would have searched the damn car, you know? I would have searched the damn car. I would have found out at least who the hell was in the back seat, you know? But that's something I gotta live with now the rest of my life.
Well, I think it's time that we maybe put some people on the hot seat in regards to that, because I don't think that's really ever been explored too much.
If it hasn't been explored, then it's a ridiculous amount of neglect, since he has said this possibly as early as 4 years ago. He also said this a year ago in a previous interview. However, they really aren't interested in anything that might take away their case from McCann.
I don't know. Nobody lets me know anything. Mother gets to know everything. you know?
Right.
Yeah, I think it really needs to be explored more. I have no idea how you guys do it, you know? You get them separate or whatever and see if their stories match up. And, you know, you can even say, hey, who was the two kids in the back seat of the car? See if they say, yeah, there's two or whatever, when really there's only one. And I mean, you know, it's your job, and I respect you for that. But yeah, I believe that needs to be addressed and really gone over. I really do, because I want to know. I want to know who it was.
Who did you say, oh, good, you found her, to?
Well, but you found her, yeah, 'cause she's the one that said, no, that's a neighbor kid.
How was she acting then?
At that time, you mean? She didn't seem as the way she was when she first came to our house. I mean, she looked drained as hell when she first came to the house. I don't know. I mean,
You thinking this girl in the back seat of this car is dead?
am I thinking that at the time, or looking back thinking that? Well, she wasn't, or he or she wasn't moving. Put it that way. Was I thinking at the time that this person's dead? Probably not. But you know, after looking back at everything and thinking, after I went to the PD, so okay, let's go check the cemetery. I remember her asking, are you going straight to the cemetery? I said, no, I gotta check with Donker. It's too weird. Okay, bam, now she's found there. Apparently the cemetery was searched earlier. You know, and bam, from there to there, she's there. To me, that just, if I'm right, well, there you go, you know.
Whose car was that?
The white car? Well, if I'm right on the other one, the other white car pulling in the drive, so I don't know which one white car that is, but I'm sure it was. I couldn't tell you the difference on them, but I'm sure it was her car. But this is the whole, like I said, the whole scenario down there. Just the guys behind the white car, two girls on the side of the door. I just, bad feeling, bad feeling. And like I told you, I said, man, if there's a way that, I don't know, you can get some of the people in. Thing is, you know when you do what you're doing, it's like, do you get them all in at once so they don't start changing their stories, you know, try to get a damn confession and, you know, or prove me wrong. You know? I just don't get why she said it was a neighbor kid and later changes the story it was her cousin. Maybe her neighbor kid was her cousin. I don't know.
How old would you say this kid was?
Good class, I don't know, over 10.
So you're saying around the right age?
How old was she?
11?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You know, I talked to my sister a little about that too. Yeah, she's the one that actually told me that the mother said it was her cousin. And she kind of described the girl, apparently it was a girl. So she had like, I would say dishwater blonde, brownish look. We'd have to talk to my sister more about that. But the blonde stuck out. It's-
Well, you know what Jody looks like now. You've
Yeah.
seen her picture
yeah,
all
the
over the
blonde stuck
newspaper.
out. Yeah.
You're saying yes.
I believe, in my heart, I believe it was her. In my heart, I do. There's not, I can't go back on it. That's what I truly believe. Until they can, you guys do some checking and they really have, it was somebody else, okay.
Fuller needs to wrap this lineup before this interrogation lasts days rather than hours. It is going nowhere. There is no new information, and McCann is fixated and won't leave it alone until he's forced to.
Sorry, you know. Something tells me different. Something, it's my gut feeling, it tells me different. It's too coincidental. Found in the cemetery after that.
Okay, so let's get on to it. I definitely have, I definitely appreciate that you would actually kind of make yourself look stupid,
Alright.
for lack of a better word, to bring that out. I mean, that says a lot about you.
Dumbass, I guess. Didn't do my job. You're right. I ain't gonna argue.
I don't know what other way to say it. I mean, really.
Yeah, that's why I kick myself in the ass every day.
But nonetheless, I commend you for at least being the man enough to say that, you know, some mistakes were made in the work that you did that night. Nonetheless, here we are. You are finished there. What happens next?
I go back to the PD. I let Donker know that we're going up to the cemetery. I leave us parked right here in your parking lot. Went down your alley here. I do not know what street that is at the end. Mill, is it?
Yep.
All the way straight, kept going straight until you hit, like, I think it's called 5 Points. Got out of my vehicle there, searched that little park to the right. I guess it's years ago, it used to be an old cemetery or something. Turn left on Florence, go down there and turn left. I believe it would be the first drive into the cemetery. I believe I called them, told them what was going on. Just flashing my light back and forth. Did not notice the other vehicles yet. Drove a little further, I'm going slow. Didn't hear a noise. In that time, I don't know if I hung up right away with them. Drove a little further. I guess it'd be after the first road to the, which went right. Screaming. That's when I see everybody running around. I go part way, jump on my truck and run up to them. I seen the mother on the right hand side, holding the daughter. Bike was on the left hand side. I remember, couldn't believe what I was seeing. Just kind of walk around, got on the phone with the donker, and actually has him turn around. He's right there. I'm still on the phone with Donker when he's there. I know during the night I had to pull her away from the daughter. Donker asked me to, I believe. He wanted her out of the area. I know I taped off the scene. Somebody gave me some tape, taped the scene off. I know we talked in the trailer. I know maybe one of the firefighters. I had to go back, Donker asked me to go back and get his notepad or something, notebook or something like that. One of the firefighters took me back in. There was no way I was going to get my vehicle out of there. Even I went back to PD actually twice. I think he doesn't work here no more. Shoot, I'm on my brain, name. The officer doesn't work here anymore.
Mark Shear.
Mark Shear. Yeah. He came back and got coffee. I think they just, for whatever reason, wanted me out of there. Now I'm looking back at it. I remember before we left, Donker, I said, was right next to me. Mother came up, hugged me, and told me, she goes, I can't try to think how she worded it. Something about my son's going to take this hard or something. And we went back to the PD. That's where we got questioned. And,
Do you think that they were looking at you as a suspect then?
I don't know. I like to know who pointed the finger at me. I mean...
McCann was suspected almost immediately since he suggested looking in the cemetery. Had he not said anything about it, he never would have been connected with this case.
You think that they're just asking you questions because you're, like, I'm asking you
Well,
questions?
yeah. I mean, we went in there to give all the information, what we had, to whoever's in the trailer. But I don't know why.
I mean, did they actually say that for some reason you are a person of interest
I don't
in
know
this?
if Donker come up and mention right away, well, hell, you mentioned cemetery earlier. You know, the next thing I know, something must have been said, because next thing I know, I'm getting down here thinking, okay, Detective Lonnie Palmer want to talk to me. I don't know if this is the same room. I don't know. But anyways, he started talking to me, and it didn't even cross my mind. He read me the Miranda rights or whatever, and I didn't even think none of that. I didn't even give me a second thought. And, we were talking just like me and you, giving the events of the night, and all of a sudden he goes, sister, we got someone to take pictures, I think he said, of your hands. And he left the room, and I remember looking at my hands, and that's right there, I knew, what the hell, They took pictures of my hands, me, and that's a scary damn thing.
Yeah. Do you suppose that all of that was a result of you making that suggestion?
Making what suggestion?
Just check the cemetery?
I don't know. I have no clue what the hell brought that up.
Because you didn't mention that, but you did suggest that?
I apparently said cemetery earlier when I was a dog riding around one. I kind of remember because it was after Halloween, and I remember going, ooh, or something like that. Let's check the cemetery.
Oh, like spooky things?
Yeah, right. And apparently that got blown. I know Donker's from up there. I'm here. He doesn't want to get. I guess I don't know him that well, but and I'm not blaming anybody. But I think Donker got this whole thing going, man. I really like that guy too. I just got some little bad feelings right now. I'm sure it's not we can't work through, but someday I hope I get my damn job back. But
how long does it take to get from the PD here up Mill Street to 5 Point and then down to the cemetery? By the way you went and by the activities that you did.
How long would it take?
You did it.
Right.
I mean,
Shoot. God.
I mean, that park down there is not very big.
No.
Right? You could pretty much see that from...
It wouldn't take long at all, really. I mean...
a couple minutes.
Right. I mean, I got on my vehicle there and searched around a little bit, got back in.
Mm-hmm.
And
then...
I mean, they had time to get down there.
Did you see anyone in the cemetery come out your way?
Out my way? If I remember. They couldn't come out actually my drive. I think they were small drives.
Right. Two cars can't pass in there.
Right.
But you would have been able to see any vehicle coming out the Florence
Right,
Road side,
right.
wouldn't you?
I don't remember. Somebody came out of there as I was going up there.
Okay. The bike again was, what position was the bike in? The best that you
I know
could-
he said so many people said it was leaning against a stone. I know that wasn't thing was important at the time. I mean, I don't think it was laying against the stone. I think it was on the ground to the left of it. Remember the guy grabbing it?
When you're saying left,
Okay. Oops. I'm facing the east.
okay,
Okay, stone.
you can names right in front of you, right? The name on the stone.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I really didn't look at the stone. Lights over here. She's over there with the mom.
On one side or the other. Bike over here, body over
Right,
here.
right.
And
Whether she was moved from the mom,
mhm.
I don't know.
And at the time, it's you,
Pulling up him,
the mother.
the mother, whatever group
Who else?
was with her at that time.
How many cars?
If I remember right, looking, I was asked this before too. Had at least 2, 3 cars maybe. You know, 2 or 3.
Were it the same 2 cars that you seen down
Oh,
here?
I couldn't tell. I just remember seeing the lights.
Were you behind them?
No, they would be further east of me, down a ways. They're actually down a little ways from where it all was.
Fuller has gone back to asking tedious questions about everyone's exact position, as if McCann will be able to recall that after 4 years. It's a highly emotional situation, but one that doesn't necessarily have a deep personal connection to McCann. Plus, there's a certain amount of shock and adrenaline flowing. These interviews seem designed more to wear him down rather than to gain any productive information.
I'm gonna draw this. Come over. Easier to go back out there, but I want to get you going because I see this is what happens. It goes longer than.
I got no problem with this.
This room goes all the way through. I think this is one that goes in. I know it does some crazy shit over here. I think that this is your friend's house here. Okay.
This is the road next to
And
it.
there's a big old fence right here, I think.
Um,
Anyway, it's on that. Anyway, this road goes up and does some goofiness. This one goes all the way through. And actually, this lane comes all the way across here like this.
okay.
And I think there's another one here like this.
Okay. Not sure.
But this right here, this being Centerville, right? This being Florence,
Okay.
right? You're describing yourself as being here,
Right.
right? Kind of going slow, shining, right?
You're saying there's another road here.
There is.
Okay. So I guess. Man, if the team's over here.
My question is, this is what they're telling us, that they are parked here, facing this way.
Hell no. There was cars back here. I don't remember ever seeing a car that close. They were back there. I could see the lights. Couldn't make the cars out, but
They claim to have come up this way, and at least one, and this is the one that discovered it, and they stopped right by it and ran. This is east, right? You with
yeah,
me?
Yep, with you. I don't remember no car.
Which way is your vehicle facing when you stopped?
Headlights be towards the east.
Headlights towards the east. Okay.
So I'm coming out.
So this is almost like your area then, where your vehicle is.
Yeah, I'd be a little ways before the
Okay.
I parked, jumped out, ran up there.
Okay.
I don't remember a car there. I really don't. I know there's cars back here because I can see the lights. Man, I don't remember a car there.
See the lights facing which direction? Towards you?
South.
South?
Yeah. I believe it's south.
This way.
Yeah.
There's another road that comes in here. You got lights here, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay. When you ultimately pull up, though, you are on this one facing east,
Mhm.
right? And you get up and you walk up there. Okay. Alright. Can you give me 1 second? Because I'm all jacked up on this. I'm going to grab a map or aerial view of the cemetery.
That's fine.
It's got to be better than me trying to.
All right.
1 second.
Good find.
Perfect.
Oh.
Let me see if I can get my shit straight here. Okay, Florence, Centerville.
I'm lost here.
I'm saying this is your friend's house.
So I'm coming this way then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This is east.
Okay. All right.
Yep. I'm wrong. See, my pictures are wrong. There's no road there. Anyway, this is the one that you're saying that you're on,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And
That would have to be
this is terrible. This is terrible. But this is where. Here.
So is this end right here? Is that where I had to come down now?
If that's the road you're on.
I don't know if there's any. Where's the, right there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that's deceiving, but it'd have to be. I mean, if that's the only, if there's no other road through here,
Yeah.
you have to get down.
I don't know when this was done, but my memory right now doesn't tell me that this is the way it is. But
So there's cars behind that. Now, is this supposed to be a road?
yeah,
Because I remember the lights pointing south. I don't-
there's 3 roads that enter here. Okay,
Okay.
I believe this is terrible, but I believe this one is one that goes in. This one is one that goes in, and so is this one.
They've done a fairly awful job in marking the photographs and maps. By this time, there's really not a reason for not having everything clearly labeled.
So these cars could have been there, well, before I was there, you know, got there, but when I turned, I noticed them. I don't remember a car here though. I could be wrong, talk to Donker about it, but I don't remember another vehicle ahead of me. I really don't. I know other cars showed up later, scattered everywhere.
How long was it before you were able to move your vehicle out of there?
Oh, it was quite a while. I don't know what time period was there.
Was it before or after you ended up here? Did you get a ride down here and stay here and someone else bring your truck back? Or did
No, I
you
brought my
drove
truck
your own
back.
truck back?
Yeah.
So when you left the scene, you
Drove
you-
back to the PD.
you drove your own truck back.
The Donker, we left at the same time.
Okay. All right. It's way past your dinner time. I know you're probably going to get in trouble. Listen,
I don't know. Hopefully, I.
this is a very important question.
Okay.
Because what I don't want for you to do is feel embarrassed by it
Yeah.
or feel like you already said that you fucked up,
Yeah. You don't.
and I'm not going to hold that against you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You're right. I
But here's the important question.
Okay.
And if you missed something that is so explainable, but the importance of this is again in the referencing of all these other people, because like I said, people call and report things, and it could just be a search party person, and we're trying to differentiate that between, at some point somebody put her and that bike in that cemetery.
Exactly.
No question about it, right?
No doubt.
Now, we don't want to include the people that are searching in that, you know, but it's convoluted by that because, you know, all these people say, I saw this or I saw that. Well, here's the question. Is there any time prior to you driving in that cemetery at that time that you had been through there and missed her?
Did I go through there before?
Yes.
I know where to buy it in Donker was. Yes, if that was the same night.
I'm talking about your
My
truck.
truck, no, I don't think so. No.
It's not, and I don't think so.
No.
That's very important because
No. where I looked. Nope.
Okay. The questioning is in regards to something that is easily explainable. You know, there are people that drove through that cemetery looking for her before you. If you did and you just didn't see her, that's okay, right?
I don't remember going through there though. I really don't. You
Okay.
know, I mean, there might be some spots I'd searched and not realized it, and you come to me later, but I don't think I went through there.
Okay. Here, I am trying my best to kind of bring closure to every one of these tips. Okay, to at least say I checked this and I checked, and I can say without any doubt that this happened, and whether or not I believe that there's anything to it or not, I still have to do that.
Right.
You know, I can't overlook something because it could be, you know, it could be something. And you know as well as I do, based on the letters that you've received and all the other bullshit that's happened, that apparently there's some people that have some bad feelings about you related to this case.
I'm sure.
They have bad feelings because they know he is a person of interest and the only person the police are focusing on. Once that happens, especially in a small town, the gossip starts, and a person is tried and convicted in the court of public opinion. In hindsight, their every action becomes sinister, and people are quick to put a twist on it, to the point of even believing it in their own mind.
They, some people may have described a vehicle similar to yours as being in there. I'm not going to tell you what, you know, this person's tip is or that. I don't even know some of the tipsters, but my thing is that you're not the only one who drives a truck like that.
Right.
But all I can say is that, you know what, I asked the guy about that, and he either wasn't there or he, you know, or he was there, and but the only thing I can say about the whether or not your truck was there or not, because I'll just tell you, there are people that say that a vehicle that matched that was seen in that area, looked like it was going slow and maybe searching. And like I said, you're not the only one that drives a truck like that. But and there are other vehicle descriptions too. You know, there are more people that went through that cemetery than you can even imagine. And just like finding out who the kid is in the back seat of that car, if there is a logical explanation for it, that being a member of the search party looking for this girl as opposed to the person dumping the body,
Right.
then that is completely understandable. And as long as I've fully drilled this into you, that I know you feel bad about not checking that car out more
Right.
thoroughly. I don't want you to feel even worse if you had searched or at least casually driven through and didn't see her. That you're not the only one that did that.
Right. I don't remember going through there. I don't.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. Can you say with any certainty, one way or another? I mean, because
I don't
honestly,
know. Now you got me all like, God, you know, I don't know. I don't think I did.
okay, that's
I mean,
fine.
I don't think, you know.
That's fine. That's fine.
Searching
I know
everywhere,
that
you
I know that I have I've been driving around trying to familiarize myself with this area because I don't know it. And when you get to the end of town, this pretty much is the end. There's nothing else out here.
Right.
This is kind of a way to drive through and circle back.
Right.
And I've done it hundreds of times. I don't know if that's appropriate or not to do that in a cemetery, but I mean, it's an easy way to get from here to here. But at any rate, I mean, I guess I'm just closing out a couple of tips of saying that.
Oh, so they think I dumped her there?
No, nobody said.
Say shit.
No,
I just don't remember if I did go. I remember me and Donker. I think it's the same.
Oh no, you take that all wrong. I don't want that. And my only concern is if we can say that, okay, this vehicle description that this person sees at this time that they believe it is.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I don't know.
Is that you searching, or is that somebody else?
Right. I don't remember going through there. I really don't.
That's good. That's fine. You know, that's good.
I don't remember going. I just don't.
But I mean, the only reason I kind of put any more extra focus on that is because I don't want you to feel bad if you did and you drove right past her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, whether or not that would have made any difference, I don't know. But,
You know, I pray this thing gets solved, over with. It's a continual hell that we're going through, you know.
This shouldn't be hell right now.
No, it just. No, I know we were talking yesterday. I got the opinion from you that you're not treating me like a suspect. I don't know in your heart you think I am. I mean,
Ray, I've been honest with you the whole time.
Right.
Ray, everyone in this case.
It's a testament to his training that Fuller is saying that with a straight face. Throughout the investigation, they have repeatedly lied to McCann and his family, including telling McCann that the DNA matched his and was found in his car. Both statements were blatantly false.
Everyone in this whole town.
It's a suspect.
I mean, you know what I mean?
I know what
Is
you're
there any
saying.
more focus on you than anyone else?
Yeah, put it that way.
No.
Okay.
No. But you can provide the most information about your search routine, because at some point during this, unless she's been there the whole time, she is dumped. You know?
Right.
In your time, your account of things, how it happened, relates to what they say, you know? And when we get the whole big picture, we'll be able to spread it out and say, these people should have run into each other here, or you know what I'm saying? Or if he's saying he's a DNS and so is this person, and they're, well, bullshit, because you would have seen them, you know? So, do I honestly, in my heart, believe that you had anything to do with this case, other than being the good-hearted person and reserve and volunteer time that you do? I do not.
Thank you.
Can I close the door to that?
No.
Completely?
No.
Do I have to remain somewhat objective to the whole thing?
It's your job.
You know, people say shit. You know, do I just say, I'm sorry to put it as bluntly as this, but do I just say, you know, I'm sorry, ma'am or sir, but that's bullshit.
No.
I can't do that. You know, if I have something that some people come to say to me about you, I'm not going to come and tell you what that is, but I want to ask you about it. You know, am I going to go back to them and say, well, you're wrong, or no, it's just going to go away.
Right.
You know, but we can't just say that. I mean, to be honest, completely honest with you, the police officer on duty that night is not ruled out. You with me?
Officer Walker?
Yeah.
It's funny how you say that. Me and my wife talked about that somewhat too. You know, him telling me to meet him at a certain place and he's not there. What's he doing? What's he doing all night? Supposed to be up at boot camp, army camp, where the hell he's supposed to be. And that guy was nuts. You know? But I'm gonna back off because I ain't pointing fingers. I like Donker, believe me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm just so telling you how it is. I mean, for me to sit here and say yes or no, to me, you don't portray any signs, outward signs to me that you have a problem, something to hide. You're not here because of that.
No.
You're here because you can provide information. But at the same time, just like Donker, I mean, I can't just close the door to say, oh, there's no fucking way that guy had anything to do with this.
Right. I understand. I completely understand. I know there's questions I'd like to ask you. Maybe I can't think of them right now, but a couple times you told me you're a few people you're really looking into. I know you're not allowed to tell me. I guess I'd like to ask you this. Do you think my sister said any them could be involved?
Specifics. Don't be vague. Who are you talking about?
Any of her kids. Anybody that hangs out in the house. Do you think... that's crossed my mind. So, man, that would be tragic. Any of them. Thing could have happened.
Yep. Could have.
That's always scared me too. Man, what happens if one of them were involved,
Did you know about it though? Would it have gotten back to you somehow?
I hope so. Nothing has. You think you know your family good enough to, if I feel, man, if something happened at my mom's house, my sister's, somebody would have called an ambulance, called the cops, that's something you don't mess with. Me myself, I can't picture nothing going wrong there, but you never know, family or not. If something would have happened, I would have known, even if it was family, I'm taking them in. I have to, That's just a question.
You get any bad feelings about any of those people?
No, I just wanted to question it. My sister, I guess, brought something up the other day that I guess they were looking at. They said they were where he was at and his time lapse and everything. It just caught me funny, I guess.
I'm not going to tell you who I'm focused on or what select group of people that I'm focused on. Because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But I hope that one day here we can maybe sit down over a beer or something and
McCann is an honest person who believes he is serving in a job that helps people. The problem with honest people is that they expect other people to be honest as well, and don't consider that someone in a position they respect might behave unethically. McCann trusts Fuller. This is something he will most likely spend the rest of his life regretting.
And I could spill my guts to you, but I have to keep the integrity of this thing together.
I hope we can one day. I hope you don't just up and leave and I don't see you and I'll sit drink beer with you and talk to you and...
Then I'm not doing it in this godforsaken town, okay?
We can go... What else? There's something else I wanted to ask you, but I can't just think of it right now. I know you were saying there's a group. I guess in the back of my mind sometimes I wonder, I was thinking about today actually at work, is it somebody I know? Is there anything I can help you with? Or is something that could jar my memory that whatever you're thinking, You see what I'm getting to though? I mean, is it something long time ago? Oh man, I kind of,
Possibly.
I don't know. I know you can't tell me. Like you said, someday we'll drink a beer when this is solved. And I'm gonna hold you to that,
I'll do it. I will do it.
I'm gonna hold you to that one.
I could go for one right now.
You know, our prayers are with you guys. I don't know. I watch the news constantly now, hoping, man, this is the day. This is the day. Being stressed at the same time, worried about my kids at the same time. You know, my wife had to go to work late after that happened, take the kids to school. We were so damn worried about the whole thing, you know. Then we got the letters, Bedell laughed about it, and maybe that's the way I said it. I go, well, I got my neighborhood on high alert, which to me it wasn't funny, because we watch out for each other, you know, and kind of thought it was funny, you know, I didn't think it was funny. I mean, these are my kids, you know. I don't want nothing to happen to them. I don't want nothing to happen to me or my wife, you know. My son's 15 years old now, and I still worry about him going to school, back and forth. 15. I'm a dad, you know. My other son, he's 10, he'll be 11 soon. Worry about him a lot. You know, he's little. Somebody snap him. You know. I'm gonna snap my older son. He's a good sized kid, but sick people out there.
Is he yours, Zach?
No, he's my stepson.
So yeah,
he's like mine. I mean,
sure, but I mean, you're gonna.
I've raised him since he was little, 3, 2. His dad's hardly ever around. It wasn't until I got with her that I kind of pushed the subject a little, because he needs to see his dad, you know.
I might hold you to that suggestion that you just had about maybe helping me with some stuff. I got some ideas, but I got to run it by my boss first. And I got to make sure that it's okay to share some of these things with you.
That's fine.
And
I'm here to help you.
Okay.
It's Brian, not Brian. Brian, I'm here to help you. You know, I want this as bad as you guys do. I want to know. I don't want to go to my grave not knowing what happened to this little girl. I don't want to. I'd like to have my job back, to be honest with you. I love being on the police department. You know, I put my time in. Hell, it felt like when I was at Pigeon, I was full-time there, it felt like.
you work a lot.
Oh, yeah. My thing was I did not want an officer being out there alone. So I worked a lot. I didn't feel like another officer should be by himself. It should have happened, you know. So I constantly, you know, I was always working. I had good people working with over there, going, and, you know, and I came here and hoping the same thing would work out great. Got, you know, Donker, riding with him, and man, I loved working with him, and, you know, I never really got to work with Shear. He used to, messed up with something on in his life, family, or whatever the hell it was. He was just 24/7 stressed about something.
I wanted to ask you about that number. One number that I don't have identified. Yeah. Can I go grab that and bring it over?
Yeah.
After giving McCann a false sense of camaraderie, Fuller leaves the room. Right now, McCann is undoubtedly feeling good. He thinks that he finally has someone in his corner that will listen, and all of this will be straightened out soon. He has no clue how alone he truly is.
Can't get in. Be right back. Okay, what we're able to do is, which we just did, we don't have all the data back yet, is dump the whole tower. I don't know if that means anything to you or not. But we can dump the whole cell tower for a specific date, and it tells us the activity that hit that tower.
Okay.
And it'll also provide triangulation GPS coordinates to give us an idea, a grid square of where you're in the military, where the phone that was using it was located at the time of the call, or at any time that phone is actually roaming or pinging off that tower. But these are a couple of numbers that are connected to your phone.
Can I look at my
Yes, please. That I do not have identified. No, I have theirs identified.
phone?
You know, sometimes.
Right here's one. 574.
Okay. Is he just a coworker, friend?
He was my boss.
Okay. That's the top one.
Yeah, hold on, man. Go back to it.
Does anyone still work there?
That when I worked there, I had no clue, man. I think I remember everybody.
Okay.
There could be a Tina with him.
Okay.
She was office lady.
Okay.
She
But this
just
was the
said-
boss, the head guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, it'd almost be easier for you to just like dial it, but don't hit send. It'll, if it's in your contact list, it'll pop up. No, the second one. So you don't have to scroll through your whole phone. You know what I'm saying?
Just do it without.
Hit the.
One, oops. Oop. Mhm. 389.
Yeah, it must not be in your phone.
I'll do all mine.
Must not be in your. Must not be in your phone because otherwise it would pop up with the contact at the bottom. So.
Okay.
Okay. So you don't know who this is. Could be somebody not even associated with you. We'll get together one of these nights.
Okay.
Okay? Alright. Sounds good. See what happens when you don't think it's going to take very long?
Why now?
After going over a few unknown numbers in McCann's phone, Fuller concludes the interview. For 8 years, McCann was harassed and persecuted, becoming the town pariah. In 2015, he was finally arrested for perjury, where it was claimed that surveillance cameras proved he was lying about where he was at a certain point during the search. Worn down, he pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 22 months to 22 years. In 2017, another girl was attacked during an attempted abduction. Daniel K. Furlong was taken into custody, and during questioning, he confessed to the murder of Jodi Perrick. After having served nearly 2 years, McCann was awarded $40,000 and was eventually fully exonerated. McCann had lost his job, his wife had divorced him, and the rest of his family, including his son, cut him off entirely. While some family members are reconnecting with him, he is starting a new life with his girlfriend, and this event will haunt him for the rest of his life.